Hey, hey guys, Mr. D. Philippus coming to you for lesson 8.3 today. A little bit different today. We're going to be using our math books instead of our slates because today's lesson is multiplying fractions using models. And I feel like this would be a little easier for us all to be actually referencing the book rather than me drawing all these models on a slate. So if you don't have your Unit 8 math book, go ahead, pause the video, go grab that now because you're going to need it. And this is going to be page 469 in your math book. All right, so remember, if I write it, that means you guys also need to write it. All right, so let's get right down to business. So it says Raphael practices the violin for 3/4 of an hour each day. He has a recital in 3 days. How much time will he practice in 3 days? So I'm underlining that question because that's what we want to answer. How much time is he going to spend practicing in those 3 days? So it says use the model to multiply 3 times 3/4. The 3 wholes would be the 3 whole days. So you can see here each one of these circles represents one day. So this would be day 1, day 2, and day 3. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to find out that question. How much time is he going to practice in 3 days if he's practicing for 3/4 of an hour each day? So let's do this right now using our models. So one group of 3/4. So I'm going to shade in 3/4. Okay. One group of 3/4 would be 3/4. Let's go to day 2. Two groups of 3/4. I'm going to shade in again 3/4 on my model. And now I can do two things. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fourths, or I could multiply, and I could think of it as 6 times 2 times 3/4, which would be 6/4. My apologies. This drawing tool has got me all mixed up here. All right. So remember, I got my 6/4 because I'm simply just counting how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/4. But we want 3 whole days. So I'm going to do the same thing again for my 3rd day. So I'm going to shade in, again, 3/4. Now I can simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fourths, or you could think of it as 3 times 3/4, which would be 9/4. Okay, so how much time is he going to spend? Well, he's going to spend 9/4 of an hour. Now, that's an improper fraction. So if I go back over here, move it down a little bit. Okay, it says 3 times 3/4 would equal 9/4. So 9/4 of an hour in all. Now, if I wanted to, I could change that back into a mixed number. And we know that this line right here, 9/4 means to divide. So I could think of it as, if I really wanted to talk about how many hours did he actually spend, I could do 9 divided by 4. So how many 4s fit inside of 9? 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. All right. So how do I get my mixed number out of this? Who remembers? What are the 3 words I have to say over and over again? Quotient, remainder, divisor. So I do that. Quotient, 2, 1, remainder, 4, divisor. So Raphael practiced for 2 and 1/4 hours in all. Okay. Now 9/4 you could also put. That's also correct. But I just wanted to show you guys how I would write that as a mixed number. Okay. So that's using our model. Now if we go down, I'm going to click back on my arrow. It says explain how you can use repeated addition with the model to find the product 3 times 3/4. So product, don't forget product, that word. And I know we spent a lot of time the past 2 days talking about that word again. Product always means to multiply. So how could we use repeated addition, doing it over and over again, to also find that? Well, instead of doing 3 times 3/4, we could simply just add. So we're going to write, we can add this is not something to get used to, is writing with a mouse. Okay, so we could add 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. Now, if I do that, we know that when I add fractions that have the same denominator, the denominator is just going to stay the same. So then I just count or add my numerators. 3 plus 3 plus 3 would be 9. And that's really what multiplication is, right? Multiplication, we said it already a few times this week, is just repeated addition. So we could use repeated addition also to get that answer. And you kind of saw me walk through that when we were using our model. All right. All right, we're not going to do number 2. So if we go to the next page, so flip to page 470. I got a brand new page here. It says now we're going to be using a pattern to multiply. And this is very similar to what we've already learned this week. So it says you know how to use a model and repeated addition to multiply a fraction by a whole number. Look for a pattern in the table to discover another way to multiply a fraction by a whole number. All right, so, and I'm going from left to right. I'm going to look at my first row here. So my multiplication problem is 2 times 1/6. I can see right here I have my first one whole. One row represents one whole, and it has 1/6 shaded. But they have it twice. So 2 times 1/6, I can see there's 2 whole groups, and the fraction size is 1/6. So that would equal 2/6. Let's remember, we're trying to find our pattern. So in my next one, I have 2 groups again times 2/6. So again, number of groups would be 2. Fractions is 2/6. 2 times 2/6 would be 4/6. So does anybody see a pattern in these 2 fractions that's happening? Keep in mind, that's what we're looking for. Let's look at our third one. So again, I have 2 groups. That's what this is, 2 whole groups. My fraction is now 3/6. My total would now be 6/6. So if I'm looking at all 3 fractions, what pattern are we able to see in my fractions? Well, every single time my numerator is skip counting by what? Skip counting by 2. That's because my very first model here was 2/6, right? 2 times 1/6 would be 2/6. 2 times 2/6 would be 4/6. 2 times 3/6 would be 6/6. Just like in whole number world. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. So now I can go down here and I can fill these blanks in. This is just like we learned earlier this week. When you multiply a fraction by a whole number, the numerator in the product, which means the numerator in the answer to my multiplication problem, is the product of the whole number and the numerator of the fraction. So I just want to be clear as to what that means. So if I'm clicking on my tool here, so if it was 2 times 2/6. When you multiply a fraction by a whole number, so here's my fraction 2/6 by my whole number 2, the numerator in the product, which is going to be right here, is going to be the product of the whole number. So I'm going to write whole with a W, and I'm going to do the number symbol to save some time. Whole number and the numerator of the fraction. And this is stuff that we already learned this week. We're just repeating it because this unit 8, is very repetitive, and that's okay. We'll welcome that because we saw at the end of Unit 7 where we had a lot of new stuff and it was a little overwhelming. So let's think about this. It says when you multiply a fraction, 2/6, by a whole number 2, the numerator in the product, this guy, is going to be the product of the whole number here, 2, and the numerator. So 2 times 2 would be 4. That's all that means. All right, so you're multiplying your whole number times your numerator to get a product numerator of 4. The denominator in the product is going to be the same as the blank of the fraction. So what denominator is going to be here? It's going to be the same as the blank of the fraction. It's going to be the same as the denominator. So I'm going to write denom for short, and we will all know that means the denominator. Okay, so that's all that's saying. So when I do this, I would just keep my denominator the same. It's going to be the same as the denominator in my fraction. All right, so that's, like I said, that's a review of what we've already done. All right, number 3 says, how do you multiply a fraction by a whole number without using a model or repeated addition? So that's what we just said. So how would we do that? So we would multiply, write this down in your books as you hear me click away. It's like I'm chiseling into this. All right, so you would multiply the whole number You know, it would be cool if I could speak and it would just text it for me. First world problems. All right, multiply the whole number by the what? What did we say? So look at the top. What did we do? We said we multiply that whole number by the numerator, right? We multiplied 2 times 2 to get 4. So you just multiply the whole number by the numerator. And then what happens to our denominator? We would use the same denominator as our fraction. So just say, and use the same denom. And denom stands for denominator. And I apologize for my writing. I hope you can make it out. Doing the best I can, and that's all we can ask, right? We're all doing the best we can. So we multiply the whole number, again, right here, 2, by the numerator, 2, to get a product of 4. And then use the same denominator here in my fraction, and that'll be the same denominator in my product. All right? So number 4 says, describe 2 ways to find the product 4 times 2/3. So we could do that, right? I could multiply 4 times 2, my whole number times my numerator, and that would equal 8/3. So multiply my whole number times my numerator. Or I could use repeated addition, right? So how would I do that? Well, this is the same thing we did on the other page. Instead of doing 4 times 2/3, I could do it the longer way, and I could add, oh my goodness, come on. I could add 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. I should get the same answer. So it doesn't matter if I multiply 4 times 2/3, I should get 8/3, right? Because my whole number 4 times my numerator 2 would be 8. Denominator stays the same. If I add 2/3 4 times, 2/3 plus 2/3 would be 4/3, plus another 2/3 would be 6/3, plus another 2/3 would be 8/3. So please make sure you have this written down in your book. Okay, that's very important. All right, so today, depending on how we do, this might be the only day we do 8.3 because I feel like it's very repetitive to 8.2, which we spent 2 days on. So let's go to this page, which would be page 471. This is going to be the page that you guys do your problems on for today. So the problems I would like you to do today, and you're going to use your models, okay? You're going to do number 2. We'll do numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right? So those are the 4 that I would like you to do today. You can either send me a picture, make sure it's clear so I can see it, and then also you could also post it on the new Flipgrid for today as well. All right, guys, get started, and I will be seeing you soon. All right, I'm proud of all of you, and I miss all of you very much, and I hope you're all staying safe. All right, guys, go ahead and get started.